Hey everybody, and welcome back to Coffin Talk, Interviews with the Living, a weekly podcast that explores how our views on death affect the way we live our life. As always, my name is Mike Oppenheim, and I'm welcoming you to the show. Before we get into our interview today, first of all, let me just say, oh my gosh, do I really want you to listen to this interview. My guest today is Diane Gansauer, and she is a newly minted 70-year-old who hiked from the U.S.-Mexico border to the U.S.-Canada border in her 60s. It was not an easy journey. It's not an easy journey for someone in their 20s, let alone their 60s. She encountered all sorts of things that are going to blow your mind when you listen to the interview. And I'm not going to ruin them, but I will just say that if you've ever thought about doing El Camino or the Appalachian Trail or this one, the Pacific Coast Trail, yeah, this is an episode you have to listen to. She will prepare you for some things you may not have thought of, and I definitely still intend to do it, and my wife just agreed that she still wants to do it, so when our kids go off to college, we're going to do it, which means we'll both be in our late 50s, early 60s by the time that happens. So interesting that I just listened to a guest who's from my own future telling me about my own future. Anyway, so the interview is awesome. I'm on cloud nine about it. She's also a celebration of life and a memorial gathering leader. So she works with interfaith and does all sorts of memorial services and things like that. But the celebration of life part is what she's into, which is a little different than just like standing at a funeral and talking about like what happened. So I was really into that. She's also just got a sparkle. She's one of those people. She sparkles. There's like tremendously positive, bubbling energy coming out of her. She smiles a lot. She's sharp. And I am always paying attention to my guests who are older because I want to age gracefully. I don't just want to age. I don't want to be 100 and like not healthy. So I would love to start smoking cigarettes again, for example, but I never will. I never will because I want to be healthy in my older years. And even in my 20s and 30s, when I was starting to quit, I was already starting to feel unhealthy. So same thing with drinking. Like I rarely drink these days. And it's really just because I see and feel how much it affects me if I do it, and I have a feeling that the body doesn't love it. So I'm not lecturing you on what to do with your own life, but if your goal is like my goal, which is I literally want to be 100, that's my goal. It's a stupid number, but I like it. And ever since I was a little kid, I always thought it would be fun to live to be 100. I'd like to be, I will admit this because it's pretty narcissistic, but I don't care. I want to be 100 and then get asked about being 100 too. I just think it'd be so fun to give like crazy fake answers to people like, oh, well, I drank turmeric juice every day. I had 16 ounces, like just to throw out like outlandish things and then have like my wife or my kids at my side being like, he didn't. He's not crazy. He's just got the worst sense of humor ever. All right. Enjoy the episode. Love you. Bye. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Coffin Talk, Interviews with the Living, a weekly podcast that explores how our views on death affect the way we live our life. This week, our guest is Diane Gansauer. She has completed more than 400 celebrations of life and memorial gatherings, and she has also completed the Continental Divide Trail from the U.S. border with Mexico to the U.S. border with Canada. Defying stereotypes about people her age, she completed this 3,100-mile trail at the age of 67. She discusses the lessons she's learned from both experiences in her book, The Waypoints, from 400 Farewells and 3,000 Miles. I'm excited. I love walking. I know that sounds silly, but I really do. It's like my favorite thing in the world. So the first question we always ask guests is, how old are you currently? Where did you grow up? And what generation, if any, do you consider yourself a member of?
I just turned 70 a couple days ago.
Wow. Congratulations.
Thank you. I grew up in Monterey, California, beautiful place on the Central Coast. And I think I technically am part of the late boomers. That would be me.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there. Now the generations come too fast and furiously. Certainly by most young people's standards, I'm old-fashioned and rather old. whatever that is.
I think I am too, and it's funny because I'm 44, but I think they just cast that wide net at pretty much anyone over. I would say 30 at this point. That's like old now. It's funny though because when I was growing up, 25 was like time to get married, have kids. Like that was like, and now I think people are like 35, get married, have kids.
Yeah. True.
And I grew up in Berkeley, Oakland, California, so I'm quite familiar with Monterey. I love Monterey, absolutely love it.
Love it. And I'm in the foothills west of Denver is where
wow, cool.
living now.
Awesome.
So
Well, maybe we'll meander through the conversation to why you're in Denver, but I think the first question I want to ask is about celebrations of life. Before we even ask about the 400 that you've done, how would you define a celebration of life to the people who are listening if they don't know what that is?
If, basically, it will overlap with traditional funerals and memorial services people might be more familiar with, in that we are saying goodbye to a loved one and we are comforting the family who is grieving. But what's different about ceremonies that are celebrations of that person's life is they focus on and even center on that person's life. And in the case of celebrants, we are trained to focus on the life story. We are storytellers. So that may or may not be something that shows up in a traditional funeral, but it will be part of a celebration of life, and it can occur in varying ways. But the centerpiece is the person's life.
That's great. And is there a religious affiliation to your services, or will you do anything? Like, how does that work?
Well, I am an ordained interfaith minister specifically because I was working in funeral homes, which means I was working with anyone who comes to the door, which may be of any faith tradition or no faith tradition. So, since, as I just said, we're focused on the person's life, we're going to be true to the traditions connected to that person and their family. I don't, pretend to be a clergy of some tradition I am not a part of. That would be really unethical. But if a religion and all the traditions accompanying that were part of that person's life, then the authentic life story includes those traditions. That would be only the right thing to do. So I have familiarized myself with other traditions. My own background is in the Christian family somewhere, but when other traditions are in front of me in the family I am called to serve, I will often defer to a person in the family, say to say a prayer or present a ritual that is of their tradition, so that I'm not acting or pretending, but I'm holding that space and time for them and weaving it into the ceremony we've put together.
Wow, that's really cool. That was a great answer. I thought I knew a lot more than I did, and that was really cool. I want to get into interfaith later. I'm going to put like a little pin on that, but first, I wanted to ask you a question about faith, just because you brought it up. I'm curious, in your experience, and just your experience, are there more people with strong faith in a religion, strong faith that there's no religion, or no faith, meaning they're not even sure about either?
The vast majority of people I've worked with, because you were asking about my experience, have a strong spiritual element to what they request in the ceremony. I'm using a broad word like spiritual
Yeah, that's fine.
on purpose. As is apparent in the demographics of the United States, and that's the only country I've worked in, there's been a turn away from connecting to formalized religion. In the Christian family, that would be denominations. Maybe they grew up in a particular denomination and they are not connected now. But grandma died and grandma was a churchgoer, and by golly, she'd come back and haunt us if we don't include 23rd Psalm, please, and maybe even sing Amazing Grace, which just cracks me up silently. Because if they have said, well, we're not religious at all, and then we get to what music would you like to include, and people say that, I go, really? Okay. My point in that is people go back to their roots when someone has died. Not always, but it's very common. So what I see might be a slightly more spiritual side than is in their regular life, shall we say. But you asked what my experience is. Very few say no mention of God, no mention of life after death, nothing. We don't believe in any of that. That is very rare in my experience.
Great. Thank you for answering that. It's a compelling thought I have often. And also, I don't worry about any culture if people have like faith in love and humanity and all that. I However, I'm extremely startled if like a rise in like stern lack of faith is going on. So I like checking in on that.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah.
I think people have taken their spiritual life inside,
Hmm.
and if they have lost faith in something, Mike, to the extent they share this, I don't pry them open to get this information.
Yeah.
They've lost in the way faith is presented in old line denominational churches.
Yeah. And so you've been alive for 70 years, so I'm going to assume you've been paying attention for about 65. I'll give the first 5 years
Yeah.
a wide brush off, but how do you feel, and this is not a political question, I'm not asking about like leadership in America, but just more about like the spiritual atmosphere in America. Do you feel like it's shifted a lot in other ways or just that one way?
Oh, my goodness. I worry for the spirituality of this country. I'm not the best person to talk to about political matters,
Yeah, no,
but
I
wherever
don't.
one is in the spectrum, so kind of like if whoever you are in America, I feel like we've entered a sort of religious war,
Hmm.
religious, small r religious, as in I'm right, you're wrong, and if you're wrong, you're really wrong, and I could do almost anything to castigate you.
Wow.
I just like,
Yeah.
where is the respect that the way I grew up was based in, and it still is in my heart,
Hmm.
based in believing we are all made by God. I might not fully understand you, but you, God is in you somewhere. And honestly, linking this to the work I've done, which has crossed faith spectrum and not faith, is no matter what that person believes, whom I've been called upon to assist the family in honoring, I go in silently, in my head, in my heart, believing this was a child of God, and I will treat this life with respect. And somewhere in there, might take more work to find than some others, but somewhere in there is something good and honorable. I have
Yeah.
yet I've yet to have it come across a life, which by now is well more than 400 services I've done. I've yet to come across a life where I go, oh my goodness, why are we doing anything here, to honor this person? I can always find a little bit of light in there, if not a lot.
I love
So
that.
that's where I'm coming from.
Yeah. I love that. I absolutely love the way you phrase that and the way you express that. And also, I mentioned briefly when we first started talking, I used to work in hospice, and actually, what blew my mind more than anything was just seeing life exit. Because when a child's born, you
Mm.
don't see life come in; you just see a child come out, which I've seen 3 times because I have 3 kids. But when a person dies, you see it leave, like you feel it leave. And
Mm.
I've met atheists who admit that, like they still don't believe there's God or order of the universe, but they will admit there's animus, there's a,
Uh-huh.
a thing in us that's also in animals, and it's not in rocks that we can tell. And so I find it interesting because when you said, we're all children of God, like I think I could hear people hearing that being like, she said God, I'm turned off from this. But I don't think they're really, if a person's like that exists, because I'm just imagining them. Again, I grew up in the Berkeley Bay Area, so I grew up with a lot of atheists. I was friends with and knew people who like denied the existence of God and the things that you just mentioned. And so I find it increasingly weird as I go through life that what you just said isn't a common thread throughout humanity, through every culture, every small r, capital R, religion, war, like, just this idea of like, we're going to take lives away to somehow save lives is just preposterous to me.
What I have run into, especially from very intellectual people, not that intellectual people can't also have a spiritual faith,
Yeah.
but if I encounter this, it might be from people who think in terms of energy, animus, energy, something that makes us unique, who we are as beings. I have encountered that, and I don't see that inconsistent with faith, even traditional Christian faith, for example, is that I strongly suspect that when Jesus Christ was walking the face of the earth, he had an amazing energy field.
Yeah. 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 Yeah,
and
I do.
was relating to people in some way, partially on that level, as he was healing people. So I have a pretty broad mind where spirit is at work in the
Hmm.
world.
Yeah, I can tell. I can feel it. Like, it's weird. I mean, we're from California. We're hippies, blah, blah, blah. Like, all those allegations, but there's just an undeniable joy in admitting that people have spirits and that, you have an energy and I meet your energy. And like, there's a chance our energies could have collided and not gotten along today. Who knows? But
No, it's right.
that's not what
Right.
happened. So,
Right.
yeah. And it's weird because growing up, I was raised, I guess, Jewish, but not really. I mean, I was basically just raised no religion, but my parents were very spiritual. They said, like, say a prayer when an ambulance goes by, like, so
Ah.
I was told to, like, believe that your thoughts matter and that your intentions matter, but I was not trained with any formal religion. And so, like, that put me on a weird course, but it also, like, helped me because it just made me open-minded to, even, like, Jesus could have existed and so could Moses. Like, why would we have to argue or disagree that great men and women came along and died, and they had great spirits and great personalities, and whether or not Jesus is the Son of God doesn't seem relevant no matter what. Like, it doesn't seem to me like that would matter. What would matter is he said things that still are true today. If you forgive people, life is much easier. um, Not holding
True.
grudges just makes, like, all my friends
Yes.
who hold deep grudges are not happy people.
Well, it's interesting you would use that particular example. I hope maybe I'm diverging, if I may,
No, of course,
because
please. Yeah.
I wrote about that, and it's something I learned from lives I admired. You got to be some kind of cold-hearted, made of stone person to say work in. How could you work in hospice and have a cold heart anyway? But to have observed more than 400 lives, as I did, and had to really deeply reflect on them in order to appropriately bring them bring them forward for honor. If you didn't notice what was going on in these lives and have it affect you, sorry, it was rather long-winded, but
No, it's
I
great.
was affected by the lives I reflected on. And one of the lessons I learned was this was forgiveness, the importance of forgiveness. And in terms of my long walk, that's 3,000 miles of thinking about stuff. You don't have to be a backpacker to know that a person this was backpacking. This wasn't a stroll. This is mostly wilderness backpacking. You have to be very careful on what you put in your pack so that you don't carry too much. And I'm a pretty small-framed person. So my point is that I was learning on the trail to travel lightly, and I was learning from lives. Best if you can travel lightly. Don't carry anything in your heart and your mind and your spirit or on your back that you just should put down, put to rest, so you can move more freely. And that's kind of a little intro to what on earth I was writing about in this book. The waypoints from 400 miles and 3,000, from 400 farewells and 3,000 miles is referring exactly to that. The waypoints, that's a navigational term, is about interior navigation, and one of the waypoints is travel lightly.
Wow.
And forgiving people and oneself is a great example of that. Exactly that.
So well said. Thank you. And actually, it's a perfect segue. It was a natural segue. I was going to force it if you didn't. So I want to talk all about the walking, especially just the intensity and the experiences you gleaned. Save some of the stories for people to buy the book, but if you could tell us one or two, that'd be great. But I think the perfect way to get into it would be that people can die on that walk. You can, like, things can go wrong, like the Appalachian Trail,
Yes.
like all of these things, the Camino.
Yes.
So did you ever have, like, a truly scary moment or anything go wrong on it? And then I want to segue that into what do you think happens when you die?
Hey everyone, if you're a fan of the show, please head over to mikeyop.com and click the subscribe button. It's the best way to support us, and it's free. That's MIKEYOPP.com. Thanks.
Oh gosh, you can't walk that far without having some scary moments. Though people usually think it's going to have something to do with a wild animal, and that's not the case. It's usually it's weather. It's the weather. It's very easy to die of hypothermia.
Wow.
you just get damp and cold, and your body temperature goes down, and you die. It's People forget about that danger, but that is the greatest danger I've faced. I should say I did not hike all of that 3,100 miles by myself, but I hiked more than 1,000 of it by myself. The most dangerous parts actually occurred when I was with someone else, and the weather changed, and it comes in, and there are parts of that trail that are, well, the vast majority of it is extremely remote. So once you're in, you cannot easily get out. You can't say, "Oh, well, this is stupid, and I forgot my umbrella. I'm going back to the car." No. You could be often more than 100 miles between towns. So once you're in, and you better have what you need or make do. And there was one occasion when my brother and I came very close to a hypothermia situation, and but for the fact that we could see in pretty short distance an old miner's cabin. We're talking 19th century miner's cabin. We probably would have sought out a mine shaft and crawled in there for the night, or I doubt we would have made it. So
Wow.
yeah, there's certain dangers. You do the best you can to prepare, and then you adapt. We adapted, and we were very lucky to have a cabin there with a tin roof and get dry.
Wow.
So
Yeah, I would have definitely thought in order animals and then nefarious bad to do people who want to rob you and kill you. Like that would have been my top two fears. So
well, the animal situations, we were walking through grizzly bear country, so you have to be
wow.
very cognizant of how to behave in that situation. The people, I personally never ran into a nefarious character. The Appalachian Trail, it's far riskier for that because it's a much more accessible trail. I'm not
Oh,
saying
okay.
the other trails are easy,
No,
but it's
yeah.
easier to get in and out. So people wanting to do bad things can get in.
Oh, okay.
For somebody to get where I was, they're also going to be a really, really good hiker. Whereas somebody just wanting to cause mischief one weekend can get access to parts of the Appalachian Trail.
Well, that's God. You have every answer. That's awesome. I really do. I'm not saying this. My wife can attest. I intend to do what you did at some point in my life. It's on my. I don't have a bucket list. I don't like
Give
that.
me a call.
Yeah, no, I am. I just love walking, and I was hit by a car and told I couldn't walk for a year, and I've just had all these things in my life
gosh.
that like have threatened it, and nothing has taken me down, and so I'm flat-footed, which is like horribly obnoxious, but I don't care. I just want to do it. I love nature. I want the risks and the thoughts. Actually,
Well,
the thing I want the most is the thoughts.
well,
Yeah.
just two quick things about
Yeah,
that.
no, please.
First of all, I must say I did not do that 3,100 miles in one fell swoop. Those are through hikers.
Mm-hmm.
I started at the age of, how old was I? 63. So I'm not going to do that in one quick move. I wasn't going to trust that my body could hold up like that. Or was I 61? It was 61, I guess. 61. Sorry.
Okay.
So I did this a little at a time. Little might sound big because I would go out for a minimum of 100 miles, but I was working full time.
Mm-hmm.
So at any rate, all I'm saying, Mike, is that you don't have to do it all at once. If you want to see how your body's doing and adjust, there's no extra big gold medal if you do it all at once. And those people are amazing athletes. Just know your body really well before you go out there. But I'm a picture of persistence, not speed.
That's awesome. No, that's funny. I will not share this with my wife because I don't want her to hear that because I want to do it all in one. No, I'm kidding. But that is you spoke deeply to the part of me that's stubborn and is like, no, I need to be in my 20s and like, just have like that enormous amount of energy and gusto. So yeah, let's actually let's get in a little bit to the death part. What do you think happens when you die? Has that changed over the course of your life?
Well, I was raised in a very religious household. I was raised Catholic. practicing Catholic, and Catholic girls' school for 12 years. Not that there aren't people who turn away from a Catholicism. I get it, but that was very deeply rooted in me. I'm not a Catholic now, but that awareness of what that religion taught and what the Christian thought is about after death, what happens, is still honestly with me. But what has changed about it is that I have broadened my view of the Christ. So speaking from a Christian standpoint, what do I mean by that? Mm-hmm. I think that God is far more open and larger and accepting than any of us can fathom. And I put my heart and my faith and my trust in those hands. Is that, of course, I don't understand God. So bringing more than 400 life stories to rest. I don't have any magical powers to, get them the key to heaven. That's between them and God. It's none of my business. It's too late anyway. I mean, it's really none of my business. But I can see the light in their lives, and I honor that. Where I think we go is, I believe we go back into this amazing, as you said, energy, this amazing, loving, creative energy from which we came, and we go back. I think that it makes sense that we might be tested in some way, or I shouldn't say tested, I should say purified. Our souls might need some cleaning up on the other side. Who doesn't? But I trust in a loving God.
That's awesome.
Whatever happens, I believe I trust in a loving God.
I like that. I like that a lot. That is the one downside I did see as a child, was that a lot of my peers were talking about a not loving God, and that part never made sense to me. I was just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, no. Like, because not getting involved isn't not loving. Like, I have multiple kids. If they're arguing, I let them argue. I let them figure it out sometimes. I don't just come in and tell them what to do.
We have to leave room for mystery, don't we? I mean, do I have to be able to explain? Do any of us have to be able to explain everything? Well, then your God's too small. I just leave room for mystery. And you, as a person who likes to walk and get out to nature, I know you'll experience that. Everybody does. Many people who say they're not religious feel like, but here I am in the presence of something bigger than me. Well, thank goodness there's something bigger than me, and each one of us. I would hope so, because I didn't design this universe. It's clear to me. I don't understand atheism. It's clear that this universe was designed, not random. So I don't get into arguments with people about it, but I don't understand that concept.
I'm with you. I won't argue, and I'll even listen, and I'll have any atheist who wants to come on the show, I'll have them on, and I'm respectful because I am, but it's not gonna click at this point in my life because I've had too many coincidences. I've had too many great coincidences.
Yes, and spending that much time in nature, the number of my great coincidences just increased exponentially. Times when things just came together, and I would look at my brother and he'd go, "Did that just happen? Oh my goodness!" And those are people who are open to seeing it.
Yeah.
The people who see it, the people who are open to seeing it are more likely to see those connections we have with nature and with, I believe, a sacredness that's all around us, but we often don't pause to recognize it. It's there, even in very small things. The last day of our hike in 2022, truly the last moments, last hours of our hike, and it had been an exceptionally difficult and long year of summer of hiking. It was very, very cold. We got up early to walk, and as the sun rose, we could hear wolves in the ravine next to us, not far away at all. And you hear a sound like that in nature, and you know how hard we had worked to put ourselves out that deep in nature, and you get a gift like that. If you're not grateful for that, you don't get what's going on. I was just grateful to be there, and that's a sacred moment to me.
That's all. My heart just moved. That was very moving. Yeah, it's so funny because I get to hear two people having the same conversation and then being like, "It was the scariest thing ever," and thank God I had a gun. Like, just like it's that's perspective is everything. But I'm with you. I would just be like, "Oh my gosh!" Like, and also I loved like growing up. We would study the indigenous tribes, like the people who existed here before we took over, I guess, and that was the one thing that never was lost on me is like they might have fought wars, they might have had their own issues, but their respect and love for nature was clearly prime and important.
Right.
Yeah.
And they were very aware of how interdependent we are.
Yeah.
And that's more than it's scientifically proven we're all really closely knitted together and even made from much of the same material. But to me, it's a spiritual matter as well, how interconnected we are with everyone and every being and even trees. Oh my gosh, the number of moments of gratitude I have felt after sleeping under a good tree. We're all in this together. I know that's a trite phrase, but yeah, we're part of creation. That's embedded in me. I'll always feel that way.
This is interview 249. I've never had a guest talk about the time in their 60s that they were sleeping under a tree. Like, that's just such a cool, like, it's, I mean, at any age it would be interesting, but it's really special that you decided to do it because I think I like people who buck the trend of like, you should just give up and give into retirement and not care about like, you clearly have that energy. And again, speaking of hospice and my experience in life, the people who tend to live long, happy lives tend to be happy people. They tend to be like eager, excited to learn new things.
Yes. I mean, and just maybe this might be a parting thought. I don't want to take more of your time than you meant to give, and I could yammer on all afternoon. This is really fun talking to you. But our story isn't done until it's done, until we're plucked off the earth and that animus, that spirit, that soul leaves us. Our story is not done. I definitely felt experiences in nature where I wasn't in complete control of what was about to happen, for sure. But I got to choose how to respond to that, how to walk through that. This built my courage and my perseverance like nothing else in my life probably ever could have. I mean, to gather your courage in your mid-60s to go through a river that was just below flood stage, you're digging deep, man.
Yeah. Wow.
And I just my story wasn't done. And when I was through that, and I'd had a lifelong since childhood, young childhood, fear of rushing water. I mean, I turned back and I bowed to that stream, to that river, that river. And I don't know that I can articulate completely why, except there was a connection there and I was allowed to pass. And I don't look at that as pagan at all. God's present in everything. So something about what was present in that river and my own courage let me go through what could have been the scariest moment of my life.
Wow. Like you, I could talk for a lot longer. I think, however, that was such a good thing that you just said that I kind of want to end the interview there, but I would be remiss not offering you a chance if there's anything else you wanted to add. There will be notes for how to find your book and everything, so that's going to be easy for people, but anything you want to add?
If you liked that ending and you've done 249 interviews, I'll take that as my ending.
Awesome.
Keep writing your story, people. Yeah, that's it.
Perfect. Thank you, Diane. You're incredible. I'm really glad we connected. Thank you so much for coming on the show, and to everyone.
My pleasure.
Yeah, you're great too. I think I'll have a celebration of life when I die, and if you're still around, I will tell my wife that I want you. So.
Okay. Well, if not, maybe I'll track you down.
All right. Awesome.
I might go first.
Well,
this was fun.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Diane. To everyone listening at home, as always, the best way to support the show is to head to our website, MikeyOpp.com. That's MIKEYOPP.com, and sign up for the subscription service that we offer. Thank you so much for tuning in. Once again, my name is Mike Oppenheim. Our guest has been Diane Gansauer, and this is Coffin Talk, and we will see you soon. And I sing you while the moon, and then I see that you seen me, and I see you hear this tune, and I feel that you're near me, and I sing you are my